Hello and welcome everyone to our virtual event about the Horizon Results Booster. Today the objective is to show you how the booster can help you as beneficiaries of Horizon 2020 and Horizon Europe to enhance the dissemination and the exploitation of your results for more impact. If we move to the next agenda item. Well, as you can see from the agenda, we will guide you through the different services you have access to as beneficiaries, and this is free of charge. But we also thought it was important to hear from those who have already used the services, as well as to hear some feedback from the experts that are behind the services. And so, voila, this is the agenda, and we will go through it as we go. Then here, we also want this session to be as interactive as possible. So please don't forget to scan the QR code that is now on the slide and to submit questions that may be of interest to you. We will be providing answers throughout the event. Then it will be also interesting if you can share with us short information about yourselves, who you are, which organizations you are working for. You can do that via the Word Cloud section on Slido, and we'll show it, I think, at the end of the session. So if we can move to the next slide, thanks. Very briefly to set the scene about the HRB. Well, today, again, we'll give you more details about a package of the different services that can be delivered à la carte, depending on what are your specific needs. So service 1, for building a strategy for dissemination and exploitation around the portfolios of projects and results. Service 2, for developing a business plan, or service 3, for making your results ready for commercialization, go-to-market. So on the next slide, we have a couple of links that we invite you to check to learn more about the different services. And I would simply now give the floor to Alessia Melazeke, the manager of the HRB, and I wish you an excellent event.
Thank you very much, Lara. Good morning to you all and welcome on board. Today, we will be presenting in details the different activities and services that we are providing under the Horizon Results Booster initiative. My name is Alessia, and I'm the HRB manager on the contractor side, and I will be guiding you throughout the whole session. Next slide, please. So, just to recap what Lara just presented to you, the Horizon Results Booster is a fully European Commission initiative, the GRTD, which aims to maximize the impact of research projects FP7, H2020, and Horizon Europe. Therefore, if you would like to have some guidance, coaching, some support in best disseminating and exploiting your research results, this is the initiative for you. Next, please. Let's start from the basics. Eligibility. All EU-funded projects are eligible. This means that are eligible ongoing and completed projects directly funded by FP7, H2020, and Horizon Europe. This means no matter which is the topic, no matter which is the funding scheme. Research Innovation Action, CSAs, Innovation Action, ERC, ERANET, Marie Curie, all the initiatives, and as well indirectly funded by the same framework programs. Indirectly means funded by the, for example, the European Institute of Technology Knowledge KICS, or the Article 185, like the PRIMA funding, the AAL, and others. Next, please. So the three main services which are provided completely free of charge to eligible beneficiaries are Service 1, Portfolio Dissemination and Exploitation Strategy, Service 2, Business Plan Development, Service 3, Go-to-Market. During the session today, we will go more into details and you will get all the insights and information which are needed to then apply and have the service successfully delivered to your project. Next slide, please. Here you can have just a quick snapshot of how it works. On the left side of the screen, in the red box, you have Service 1, Module A and Module B, which are the services connected to the dissemination activities. While on the right side of the slide, green box, you have all the services which are connected to exploitation activities and go-to-market. So Service 1, Module C, Service 2, Business Plan Development, Service 3, Go-to-Market Support. Please consider that dissemination and exploitation services can be run in parallel because they will have different expert teams appointed to deliver them. Next slide, please. Why should you benefit from the HFB? As you know very well, or should know very well, the generation of an impact on society and our market strictly depends on the activities in terms of dissemination and exploitation that you are going to put in place. So in terms of strategies and in terms of implementation, because wrong basics generate wrong strategies. And very often when projects go out of the lab, the environment, the landscape could be a bit different from what they originally planned in the description of action or expected to achieve. Experiences from the delivery that we made so far, and just for you to know, I mean, I will disclose to you all the current numbers of HRB at the end of my presentation, but I can already tell you that we already completed more than 350 services. So experiences, wrong identification of key exploitable results could happen. Confusion between customers and users, partners, beneficiaries, again, use model not correctly identified, and a long list of different situations which could happen. This is where we intervene to support you in this, in the dissemination and exploitation path. Next slide, please. It's as well very important for you to know that there are several projects with commonalities in terms of contents, in terms of target audiences, group of interest. And this is why there are services which we propose for the benefit of project groups. So if you do not have a project group already in place or a cluster of projects, we will support you. And in the project group, you can group not only eligible projects in terms of FC7, H2020 and Horizon Europe, but as well projects coming from different funding. And as you may understand, you can leverage on, the project group, on joint efforts made by the partners to disseminate your results. Next slide. One of the usually first questions that we are asked is connected to when requesting the HRB services. HRB services can be requested at any given moment. The sooner the better. HRB initiative is up and running since June 2020, and we can gather your application till April 2024 and conclude the execution within November 2024. When you are filling your application, you will be asked to specify the indicative quarter when you prefer to have the service delivered. And even if submitting your application today, you have up till 1 year time to pick in the application. Therefore, you can plan and organize activities in time and according to the, of course, the activities that you already plan to have within your project. It will be preferable to, of course, start and request the HRB services when at least you have a clear idea on the results of the project. The two entry level, as it will be explained by the speakers, the two entry levels on dissemination and exploitation are on the dissemination side, the Service 1 Module A, and on the exploitation side, the Service 1 Module C, which usually we can start delivering when the project is around month 6. This reminds me to say that you have Slido. You can access Slido from the QR code, but as well from the event page. And on Slido, you can post your questions. And you can as well vote questions posted by others, because we will have the Q&A session at the very end, and questions will be ranked. And questions that we might not be in the position to answer because of, matter of time, will be answered in written, and everything will stay on the event page, as well as the recording of the event. Next slide, please. Now we go directly to the application process, so you know what you have to do, and then experts will explain you what we are talking about. So application is public and open to anyone eligible. This could be done, next click please on the slide. This could be done directly on the HRB website homepage. There is a nice request service button, and next click please. And you can fill out the application form directly online. First of all, next slide, you will need to register yourself as an individual, and then you will be the applicant for your project. You can be the coordinator, you can be the work package dissemination and exploitation leader, you can be one partner. Of course, it would be very important that you discuss this first internally, because each eligible project can request all the HRB services, but only once during the project's life. To fill in the application, it's pretty straightforward. You just need few information about, of course, project ID. In case you are indirectly funded, it's the case of a kick from EIT, you have a different path in which you do not have to provide the project ID. Name and email of the applicant, name and email of project coordinator, name and email of the PO. If it's a closed project, you can access the funding and tender portal of the Commission and check in the managed project, refer to your project, which was the name of the PO in charge when the project was up and running. Application can be saved in draft, therefore you can submit your application when you feel it is ready. You need to push a submit button and you will receive notification from the platform that everything went well. During the filling the application, you may receive some alerts which keeps you informed about the readiness of the service requested. Because let's say that you are asking business plan development service and you declare that you do not have a key exploitable result identified, the system will alert you that perhaps you may need to benefit first from an earlier service, like Service 1, Module 3. Next slide, please. So what happens after the submission? Of course, the eligibility check is made on the European Commission side by the HRB team, and then you get a first notification that the application has been approved. Then the contractor, myself and my team, we are going to appoint the service team, so the experts that will deliver the service. And when the expert team is approved by the Commission, you will get a second notification from the HRB platform. Expert will get in touch with you within 10 days from their appointment to organize always an introductory call. If expert during the intro call feels that you are not ready for the specific service you requested, can be discussed to add further services. At the end of the service delivery, you will be requested to fill in feedback questionnaires. Everything which is shared with the expert experts, and as well everything which is uploaded together with the application where you're filling it is covered by, of course, strict confidentiality, because everyone signed NDAs with the Commission here, and therefore you should not be worried about leaks of confidentiality. Everything stays in the platform, and you as applicant will be deciding who will be then accessing that type of information. Every service foresees to have at the very end a final report, which will be shared in the HLB platform and shared as well with your PO. Next. So far, some numbers for you to give you an idea of what is currently happening on the HLB. So we have currently involved 170 experts, which are delivering already, 715 projects, 748 assignments, out of which half of that has been already completed, more than 2,000 beneficiaries registered in the platform, more than 5,500 organizations. You have the split among the different types of services and the ones which have been already completed. Next slide, please. Here, just to give you an idea of, the type of schemes that we are supporting currently. So of course, I suppose you won't be surprised that the majority comes from research and innovation action, then innovation action and CSAs, but then you can see that we have a lot of different type of initiatives that we are already supporting. And on the top of the table where you see other, this means that currently we have indirectly funded projects, 15 indirectly funded projects that we are supporting. And if I'm not wrong, next, this was my last slide. Yes, you have the functional mailbox in this slide, but it will be, you can find it as well in the event page. And now I'm giving the floor to Marcello Bardellini from ICONS. ICONS is one of the consortium partners, which will present you portfolio dissemination strategy, so the module A and the module B, so the dissemination services. After Marcello, we will have testimonial project which benefited from the modules in practice, which is self-consumed project from lead beneficiary of the DISH project group, and we will Anca Nicolau presenting. But now the floor is for Marcello. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Alessia. Can you confirm you hear me well?
Absolutely, yes.
Thank you very much. And thanks also for the introduction. As mentioned by Alessia, I'm Marcello Bardellini from ICONS, and I'm a senior expert delivering the dissemination services within the Horizon Results Booster. It's a pleasure for me to take you through this path today. Next slide, please. So yeah, my presentation will start in order to highlight what is the value of these dissemination services for your project, first of all. Then I will dive into more details of the two modules, which are really dedicated to support your dissemination actions, meaning module A and then module B. Last but not least, I will give you a practical example of a joint path we have carried out together with a project group and a beneficiary, which was also already mentioned by Alessia. So thank you very much. Next slide. So the value, this is really, first of all, that's why you should ask for receiving our support, because our activities, the dissemination activities that will be carried out within this service will go beyond also your action that you are already foreseen to carry out within your project, and to create connection with other attuned projects to inspire, exchange solutions, challenges that you may have tackled throughout your project execution with sister projects that may have found a solution to overcome those challenges. So this is really a service that is really aimed to cluster and to group sister projects in order to foster networking, knowledge exchange. Then you will get also expert support. You will be supported by established and recognized dissemination experts to give an additional push for your dissemination activities through clustering. And this will be done by reaching out towards additional stakeholders which you may have in your radar as long as your single project is concerned. But then through clustering and networking, we will create a multiplying effect in order to reach out to and to engage with your prioritized target audiences. But we will do that content-wise, meaning that we will gather all your results that you are delivering and make them available and meaningful towards your prioritized stakeholders. So the organization of joint dissemination activities will always be done in view of reaching out to those target audiences with your key exploitable results, make them meaningful, and then foster engagement and further outreach of your results. Next slide, please. Just say it short. If we were to say that short, what is about Module A and Module B? So Module A is really the place where the group is formed, okay? It is formalized. Maybe you have already some collaborations ongoing with your sister projects, but that's the place where we formalize your connection, we establish synergies, and we find out which are those stakeholders that are a priority for your key exploitable results to be reached. And then we execute joint dissemination activities in Module B. So Module A is where the group is formed, and Module B is where the group jointly executes joint dissemination activities. And the two modules together really form a joint path, okay, for collaboration and consolidation of project synergies in a way to boost impact and sustainability of your key exploitable results. Thank you. Next slide. Just diving into more details, what is each of the modules about. So Module A, as I mentioned, is called the identification and creation of the portfolio of R&D project results. So this is really like the service where we form the project group, and that's formed around your field of research, so your actions, what you're studying, the innovation that you are developing. So we scout for sister projects like belonging to making reference to the same field of research. Then we look for those that are like targeting attuned stakeholders and delivering similar results. So blending these three ingredients together make like the perfect project group. Okay, the field of research, the results, and the target audience. We cluster the results of each of the projects in what we call the key exploitable results portfolio, and then we make them meaningful and available to the top two key stakeholders categories, okay, for which and towards whom we would focus on while executing joint dissemination activities. Within the module, it is foreseen that we will be providing you with a layer of additional content of those stakeholders that you can use when executing joint dissemination activities. And then we will further provide like recommendation on which are the most relevant tools and channels in order to make this path of further impact meaningful and effective. All of these analysis recommendations will be packaged into a dedicated deliverable, which is called Portfolio Research and Innovation Results. This service delivery lasts 35 calendar days. We will manage to keep the effort from your side like minimal but relevant, meaning that we want you busy, but just slightly, but in a meaningful way. You will be providing us with some dedicated inputs through a specific questionnaire, and then we would have a couple of calls throughout the service as the execution in order to really cement collaboration and discuss joint results, the portfolio, the analysis that we have carried out in order really to make this effective and suitable for your actions. After executing module A, you will be applying for module B, which is the following service that is to be done with a project group already formed. Thank you very much. As mentioned before, module B is really the place where dedicated dissemination activities will be executed at project group level. And with all the dissemination activities, we'll start with a dedicated strategy. So you would have a dedicated portfolio dissemination plan covering the project group, the actions, the results that will be covered, and the stakeholders that will be addressed. Of course, this is also based on the analysis that we have done previously in module A. And then based on those prioritized stakeholders, we will be developing branded materials for the project group, starting with the creation of a joint identity, which is then coherently applied in a very professionally designed video and fact sheet, which are again to be used. You need to think of those to be used like when you're doing joint dissemination activities, but they are all because they cover the project group content as a whole. But then of course you can also use in other opportunities. After this branding activity, which is the very initial activities of module B, we will have also you would have also the opportunity to get a capacity building course to improve your dissemination skill of your team. I will provide you further details later on in this presentation. And then you will receive dedicated support into the actual execution of joint dissemination action from our side. And we have a number of actions that we can support you into the actual execution, and they range from the organization of joint events with the project group, the writing of a policy brief, promotional strategies through social media, and then again many others that I will tell you about later on. This is really longer. I mean, in terms of time with respect to the previous one, it lasts 120 calendar days, module B. But you can see that there's really the dissemination is really happening in really and that's really executed. So we have delivery of branding materials, delivery of capacity building, and receiving support from our side for the execution of the dissemination expert packages. So the messages will be the more you participate, the more you get out of this service. So you are invited to contribute, provide feedback on the output, because these are really at your benefit. Thank you. Next slide, please. So going into the details of module B, I provided you with some examples. So as I mentioned, we started with the definition of joint visual and written identity. Here, just some examples of a project group of what was tackle green hydrogen production technologies. So and you can see that all the materials that we have developed. So the project, you have a project group name, we have a payoff, and then you have the brochure, which again is coherently applying the identity that we have designed for the project group. And this is really the first batch of branding materials that we developed. Just an example. Of course, there are some project group which do not like to have a unique and an additional identity beyond their single project logos. It happens, and it's fine because that we can do elsewhere, meaning that we have other strategies to blend the projects together, such as through a dedicated hashtag or to really cover images that still blends all of them together in order to have a joint identity to be applied in all dissemination materials. The package, as I mentioned, is made by the project group, name, logo. Then you have the brochure, the fact sheet, and then a video which is featuring all the project group results and activities, stakeholders, and here are just some example topic-wise and research main-wise of some project groups that we cover, ranging from robotics to smart cities, passing through health and nutrition and green chemistry. But the full list is available on our HRB YouTube channel and then social media platforms. Next, please. Another really relevant action within Module B is the capacity building course that we deliver to the beneficiaries. So this is really the opportunity for you to gain expert knowledge on the key ingredients to make the dissemination activities of your project effective. So the training package is divided. The training module is divided into 3 packages. You have a first package which gives you all the contents related to on how to set out an effective dissemination strategy, and the topics covered range from the definition of a unique value proposition to the layout of specific objectives, targets, stakeholders, and so on. Then you have the second training package, which goes more into the actual operationalization of the strategy that was previously set out, and then it covers, all the really operationalization activities, ranging from how to effectively manage the specific social media channels, how to devise and to copyright content for your website in order to foster search engine optimization, and then you have also other offline activities like the organization of events, that you have webinars, audiovisual production, and so on and so forth. So this is really a huge package where you will learn the practicalities, let's say, behind all of those dissemination actions. And then we have a last package, which is really dedicated to monitoring activities, meaning we provide indication on how to set out and to set up specific KPIs in order to really keep your performances in terms of dissemination activities under control and track their effectiveness throughout the execution. Thank you. Next slide. Aside the capacity building course, we have, as mentioned before, the opportunity to support you into the actual execution of joint dissemination activities. And we did so through what we call the dissemination expert packages, which are field of actions where you can gain our support into the actual organization and implementation. So the first one is called communicating towards the policy and decision makers. And in this first dissemination expert package, what we support you is about the writing and designing of a policy brief based on those policy priorities which you are really tackling at project group level, sharpening the messages and the content to make them appealing, and the recommendation to make them useful for policymaker and to guarantee impact towards them. So this is really, the content. You have also an example in this slide of this first dissemination expert package. Then another one which we see is working a lot is the event support, where you will gain our support into the actual design of an agenda. Then we have the planning, strategy, and logistic activities, which is really also entailing the creation of dedicated branded materials, including banners, posters, roll-up in case this is done physically. Then we have PowerPoint templates, media cases. These are really dissemination formats which we design in the context of the event support package, attached with a dedicated promotional campaign, usually through social media again. And then this is really accompanied by, of course, dedicated formats for social media, such as promotional social media cards and other campaigns in order to capture the attention, invite users to register and participate, and so on. Then we support you into the actual recruiting of speakers and participants, and we give tangible outputs. Of course, this event support can also be shifted to the online version of it, like the organization of webinars and of online workshops. Still, our support will kind of remain the same. Next slide, please. Then we have the third one, which is called copywriting and content creation. So this is really where we copyright content, for instance, for a joint website of your project group, showing the results that you are achieving at the project group level, and again the challenges that you're tackling. And what we do is really to collect, edit, and copyright those type of content that we are really get as input from your side. And then we do send back to you like these joint text for websites. And then we would have also a project group overview text, which you can then use as a news piece to further disseminate and to give visibility to your collaboration and the actions that you are doing together. Then we have another dissemination expert package, which is called social media presence, and this is really a package focused on your presence on social media as a project group. Okay, and in here we can offer the creation of dedicated LinkedIn and Twitter channels for the project group to set them up, and then really to provide you with a dedicated strategy in order to build up your audience, nurture your audience with your content that you are delivering, as well as really complement this community building and engagement activity with a dedicated promotional strategy. For instance, if you are doing like a webinar together or again, any type of joint action together. So it will be accompanied with a dedicated social media strategy to promote your collaboration. And again, that will be also like hints on how to set up KPIs and monitor the actual effectiveness of your actions on social media. Next slide, please. Here come the final two dissemination expert packages. We have the on-top strategic guidance, where you will get ad hoc support from experienced dissemination experts in really monitoring and supporting the activities that you're doing at project group level, and ensuring that they are like carried out on a regular basis, and then really achieving and getting also some feedback on how to improve your dissemination actions at project group level, which includes also definition and monitoring of your effectiveness through KPIs. And last but not least, we have what we call the customized package, which really is designed and tailored according to your needs as a project group, meaning that you may be interested in some of the actions that we have gone through, the different dissemination expert packages, but not as a whole package of activities. And in this sense, we can build a customized package, which is picking up the actions belonging to other dissemination expert packages and tailor them to your needs. Throughout Module B, you can ask and you can receive support on up to 2 of the dissemination expert packages that I have mentioned. And so that's why you will need to somehow choose the one that you prefer to be supported with. And then you have this solution of customized package, which in many cases is the best option to really come and answer to your needs. So this was the theory, but then I would like to show you how tangible example, how Module A and Module B work in practice. I would start with Module A. We had Safe Consume project, the food, covering the topic of food, nutrition, health living, and consumer engagement, who applied as a single project to Module A. And the reason for Safe Consume to apply to Module A was because we wanted to boost networking activities among sister projects supported, which ranged from national food safety authorities, Ministry of Education, Consumers Association, and so on, and create common base for joint dissemination activities. So this was the reason for application. Safe Consume was a single project, and when we started, we identified 4 projects that were attuned to Safe Consume in terms of, again, actions, results to be delivered, and stakeholders to be addressed. And they are the ones on the right-hand side. We had Eat to be Nice, Food Safety for EU, Toxo Services, and Stands for Health. So we grouped them, again, we involved those projects into the delivery of this module. We gather information and results and dissemination activities. We have analyzed the results that they are delivering, and this was really the starting point to execute then joint dissemination activities, as well as we provided specific analysis in terms of strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats for the project group, prioritize the stakeholder, and then provided some initial recommendation on which kind of joint dissemination actions will be effective to glue all the projects together. And that again, this is what we did in Module A, which they started alone, let's say. Safe Consume was a single project, and then it was grouped with our 4 EU projects. Next slide, please. And that became Dish cluster, okay? Because again, in Module B, we started to create a joint identity. Okay, they're based on the results and activities and the stakeholders that they are tackling and addressing all together. We designed this identity, Dish, towards healthy and safety diet. That's the dissemination payoff, gluing all the projects together. So we have delivered the joint dissemination plan now into the project group within Module B. The logo, of course, and payoff was then coherently applied in the joint branded materials. You have the brochure, the video that we have designed for them, and other materials that we have designed because they did a workshop together. So the dissemination materials include like an agenda, presentation templates, promotional strategy design, and other branded elements. As HRB, we have supported, again, the Dish cluster into the organization of a joint workshop involving key authorities and agencies, such as EFSA, the Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder Europe, Food, Hygiene and Nutrition Romania, Eurocop, and so on. So that's a workshop that involved also these type of actors that were really in target and were really perfect in terms of priorities for the cluster to reach and to make sure that their results and knowledge is transferred to those who can take them up. Then we, last but not least, we have carried out capacity building course. But this was all from my side. Thank you. You can go to the final slide. I give the floor back to Alessia, probably to bridge with Anca Nicolaou, who is the beneficiary that I have just shown the experience to. Thank you very much.
Yes. Thank you very much, Marcello. I'm exactly now giving the floor to Anca Nicolaou. She is from the Safe Consume project, which Marcello just introduced. And Safe Consume project has been beneficiary, but leading the Dish project group. Therefore, Anca, the floor is yours. We are all willing to listen about your experience.
Thank you very much. Good morning to everybody. Today I am representing the Dish Consortium, which has been created to promote a healthy and safety diet. Next slide, please. This consortium, as you already know, is a result of accessing Module A offered by Horizon Results Booster. And at the end of Module A, we had the consortium and a portfolio of project results. Then we applied together for Module B, and in Module B started our activities. Next, please. The consortium consists of 5 projects. It's Safe Consume. Safe Consume is targeting consumers' behavior and wants to guide consumers to apply safer practices during food shopping, transportation, storage, and cooking, of course, in order to decrease the burden of foodborne diseases. Toxo Sources wants to find the relative contribution of different sources to toxoplasmosis outbreaks. Eat to be Nice targets food and mental health, stands for health, wants to develop smart, personalized nutrition and tailor food production to optimize gut microbiota activity. And Food Safety for EU is a collaborative action to support the European Commission in shaping the food safety system of future. Next, please. So we now together are the DISH consortium, and we were supported by ICONS. With their help, we had a new identity, and we have now a video presentation, a very nice one, a fact sheet. And our first activity was a common workshop dedicated to policy makers. Next, please. You can see now some of the slides dedicated to the first activity, to the webinar. It was created in such a way to give the impression that we are having lunch together. It was an online activity, and you may notice that our program is like a menu. In the first part, which we consider the aperitif, we had the presentation of our projects. Then the main course was consisting in having discussions with policy makers. We, among our invitees were people from EPSA, people from UFIC, people from Mental Health Association, people from Public Health Institute, and then we have a conversation with consumers. We answered to their questions. This was the dessert. The entire recording is available at the link I provided in this slide. Next slide, please. You have images from the discussion that Solveig Langsrud, my project coordinator in Safe Consume, had with Corina Zugravu, who is a representative of the Institute of Public Health in Romania. And the discussions was about how our projects can deliver results to the policymakers in such a manner to be useful. And a similar discussion took place between each project coordinator and representative of the policymakers. Next, please. In the end, all the Dish representatives gave answers to the questions that consumers asked us via the online platform. And we consider this activity a success, and we would like to have more such activities. Next, please. We will continue to be together in other activities. For example, Safe Consume is organizing at the end of June an international conference in Bucharest, and Dish partners will be there to present their project and their opinions and of course their results. Next, please. What we gain after this exercise using Horizon Results Booster is that we managed to increase the number of our stakeholders and individuals in communities. We managed to integrate our views. It's not an easy thing to do the things, such things between projects with different targets. We managed to have a very nice presentation of the results. We provided a set of dissemination tools and social media strategy in order to improve the effectiveness of the dissemination. And this was focused on our online channels. And of course, we managed to plant seeds for wishing to continue our activity together. And we are now searching for finding sources to fund such joint activities. So some of them will do them voluntarily, but some need some financial support. Next, please. So we thank you for having icons behind our activities and for how imaginative they were in designing the things for us. They represent us very well, and we are thank you to Horizon Research Results Booster. It is a nice tool.
Thank you very much, Anka. Thank you very much. And now I give the floor to Antonello Fiorucci from Meta Group, the leading partner of the consortium running the HRB. Antonello will present you the Service 1 Module C and the Service 2 Business Plan development. Antonello, thanks. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Hello. As Alessia said, my name is Antonello Fiorucci, and I will try to share with you what I do in delivering the Service 1 Module C, the service so-called DES-C for exploitation, and the Service 2 for the business plan development. So next slide, please. Let's start from our superstar, our hero. So the key exploitable result, the care. During your project lifetime, I think that you will develop a lot of results, but these two services will focus on a so-called care, a key exploitable result. And the key exploitable result is a result responding to a specific needs from a well-defined target group, our potential customers, we can say, and it is a result selected by the partners for use or market introduction. I would like to underline specifically the word use, because we can introduce our result on the market, but what is important here is to focus on the use of the results. Also because, as always, we always say, no use, no impact, and we are talking about impact, okay? our hero can be, the key exploitable result can be a new product or a process, a new service, new standard, new training course, input for a new project. For example, if you have a low TRL, your result can be the input for a new project or even a new policy. Doesn't matter what your result is. What is important here is to focus on the so-called key exploitable result and start from there. Next slide, please. Once selected our key exploitable result, we start becoming with the core of the SC, with the core of our services. So the exploitation strategy seminar, SS, and it's something that will become really familiar to beneficiaries in working with the expert team. We can say that the ESS lasts 1 day or 2 hours. It depends on how the expert teams and the beneficiary will agree on the agenda. And it is for care owners, obviously, but it's also for coordinator, the exploitation team, and all the part which wants to be part in. And I always say that the more the merrier, because it's important you can participate just in order to discuss about the key result and how the beneficiary can exploit it. It's always a good choice to go for these services before the midterm of the project life. Because you have a lot of time in front of you, you can better understand how to finalize exploitations, how to be prepared before the end of the project. And it's always important to start with these specific services before the midterm of the project life. It's also an opportunity to discuss about exploitation plan and to have an on curves. And during the strategy seminar, we will focus on maximum 3 curves. We'll apply a set of tool sets, as you can see in the next bullets, to each of these 3 curves. You can select for 1 curve, 2 curve, or 3 curves. It doesn't matter, but we will focus at maximum on 3 curves. And at the end of the exploitation strategy seminar, we will prepare as a expert team a final report providing you recommendation and insight on exploitation activities and also ideas about what will happen after the end of the project. We will use a set of tools, a toolset, which will be composed by characterization table, which will be important for characterizing your key exploitable result, a priority map focusing on risks, the exploitation roadmap, preparing what will happen after the end of the project, and a recommendation tables where we will discuss about, we will provide you with a set of recommendations about how to improve your exploitation strategy and the use of your key exploitable result. The next slide, please. Let's talk about the approach. As I said before, the approach of the services is focused on the use. So we have not a focus on the scientific dimension of the care, but we will have a problem-oriented approach, a so-called demand-driven, which will be the most important starting point for talking about the use of your care. The service will concentrate on how to increase the TRL or how to approach the end of the project when it is possible to run out of resources, and it is important to plan how to approach to the end of the project without having a lack of resources. And we will focus on some key ingredients such as a unique value proposition, so the reason why your potential customer will adopt your your solution, the use model, how to use your solution, and early adopters. So the first door to knock for proposing the adoption of your solution, and in case of dissemination, the so-called target audiences. The next slide, please. Objective for the seminar. During the seminar, we are going to introduce the concept of impact and how it is important, how we can enable the impact during the project lifetime and after the end of the project. We will talk about, as we said, about curves, about use, and about their relationship. So how use of the care can generate impact. Always remember, no use, no impact. And then we will focus on the key exploitable result, and we'll discuss about the problem, the problems, not only one problem, but the problems addressed by our solution. What are the alternative solution on the shelf, the unique value proposition, the reason why we can solve better the problems that that our potential customer has, and the use model adopted for our key exploitable result. We will discuss one of the objectives is to discuss about the risks related to the use of the result, and as I said, in the exploitation roadmap, we will discuss about the first activities to carry out after the project end, planning the pathway towards use also after the project and not only during the project lifetime. The next slide, please. As you can see here, there is a tentative agenda of our ESS, our Exploitation Strategy Seminar. As I said, we can decide about the agenda. We can prepare the agenda together with our beneficiary. So the expert team and the beneficiaries agree about how to define the agenda. In this case, there is, we can say, a very usual shape of the ESS. So 2 days. During the first day, there is an introduction to exploitation, where we can discuss about definition of exploitation, about key exploitable result, about the differences between exploitation and dissemination, about the exploitation plan, and then obviously we can have a session, a QA session for wrapping up and for discussing what is not clear. And then we have the, I always say the big day, the day 2, where there is the working session on the cares and on all the tools completed by the partners. So as you can see, in this case, there is a 3 care day 2 session, and in this case, it is a little bit long, but it's also very, we can say, interesting, because we can go through each care, we can go through each tool, just in order to have clear in mind what is important related to our care, to the risk of the implementation of the exploitation plan, and the use of our result, and what is important in our exploitation roadmap. So what will happen after the end of the project? We will use during this day all the tools for each care. So we can say that the activity, the support activity that we deliver is not only related to the care selected, but it's also something like we can say a learning activities where you can become familiar with the tools which will be usable also in future occasions, and the methodology in the tools. So the second day where when we can discuss each care is a real unique occasion for discussing about exploitation, about the exploitation of your result, but also about exploitation in general for future key exploitable result. Next slide, please. And as you can see here, you have a summary table with the different delivery steps of the services. Obviously, the expert is officially appointed. Then, after the appointment, the expert has 3 days for contacting the beneficiary, and then starting from there, we start cooperating and interacting with an introductory call where the expert explain how the service will be delivered, and then this introductory call will have a place 5 weeks before the ES date, and then there are different steps. For example, the customization of agenda, the data collection from the beneficiary, which will allow the expert team to prepare the preliminary report, which will be the baseline for the discussion during the ESS. After the ESS, as you can see, there will be a feedback mechanism, and in 10 working days after the ESS, the expert team will release the final report to the beneficiary, where recommendation, the finally completed tools will be available and handleable by and usable by the beneficiary. Next slide, please. Let's talk about the service plan, the service 2, the business plan development, and we can say that sometimes it becomes a follow-up of the service 1 model C, but it's something different because it is obviously a structured support for business planning and use planning, and it always focus on one care. Obviously, this kind of activity, this kind of services is customized according to the maturity of the care selected. And the first assessment that we have to understand if there is a draft business plan or if we have only a characterization of the key exploitable results selected. In the first case, we will review the business plan, we will prepare an implementation roadmap, and we provide recommendation for the finalization of the business plan. In the second case, we'll work on information, we will collect information which will be important for defining and preparing the business plan structure and recommendation for drafting and preparing the business plan. Next slide, please. The main elements of this service are, as I said, the focus on only one care. It is important to say that there is a more complete interaction in between, a more structured interaction, we can say, in the service in business plan developing. And so the work on one care is a little bit more structured, and this is the reason why we select only one care for developing the business plan. It is important in this case to organize the services after the midterm of the project life, because and possibly after the test C, because obviously there is a clear view of the result, and probably there is also a draft of the business plan. In this case, we can say that the service lasts for 2 months, and also in this case it's important to enlarge the participation in the services to the care owner, to the coordinator, the exploitation team, and all partners. which we can participate in the services. Also, in this case, at the end of the service, will provide the beneficiary with a final report providing inputs for planning future use of the result, using also different tools from in comparison with the DSC, such as, for example, the value proposition canvas, the lean canvas, which are specifically worked and defined for supporting the preparation of the business plan. Next slide, please. As you can see, the activities of these related to these services are composed by 3 different steps. There is the first step, which is focused on the preparation of delivery, where a self-assessment of the maturity of the result is provided by the beneficiary, and the expert team will provide a set of guidelines and tools to be completed and to be and will be the baseline for the BPD workshop. Then there is the second step, which will be composed by a Lean Canvas webinar, where the use of the Lean Canvas will be explained just in order to facilitate the use of the tool. And then there will be also the BPD workshop, where starting from the first set of guidelines, we will discuss the key exploitable result. We will discuss different tools, such as, for example, the Lean Canvas and the revenue, and some specific features of the business plan, such as the revenue stream, the cost structure, and the unique value proposition, and that's it. The service will be finalized with the third step, where specific session can be required from the beneficiary for discussing, for example, some specific elements, such as, for example, financial, such as the early adopter definition of and involvement of the early adopters, the unique value proposition, and we can say that the expert team and the beneficiary will agree on the specific issue to discuss better, for having a more defined the view of what is important to fix for preparing a sound business plan. Also, in this case, there is a feedback mechanism and the provision of recommendation through a final report. Next slide, please. You can see a tentative agenda of the BPD workshop, and you can see that in terms of timing, we have more or less the same time devoted for the discussion of the care that we have for the ESS. In this case, the session is opened by a focus on the business planning, and then we will discuss the Lean Canvas and the exploitation roadmap, just in order to have clear in mind all the elements which are important for preparing the business plan. Next slide, please. Here you can see the summary table with the different steps of the service. You can see that there are the same 2 starting steps with the official appointment and the first contact with the beneficiary. There is an introductory call. Then the first interaction, working interaction, is the Lean Canvas webinar, where all the tools which will be completed by the beneficiary are shared together with the beneficiary, and then these tool completed will be collected by the expert team, which will prepare the first set of guidelines, which will be the baseline of the discussion during the BPD workshop, and then in 2 weeks after the BPD seminar, the BPD workshop, the expert team will provide the final report, the BPD final report. And this is more or less the steps to take for the BPD service. The next slide, please. What is important here is to say that in order to use properly something, you should understand what you have to use, and you do not really understand something unless you can explain it to your grandmother. And one of the activities that we try to carry out together is to better understand what we have in our hands in order to explain to other people how this solution can make their life better. And I would like to say that experience is worth 1,000 words. So I'm happy to leave the floor to testimonials which can share with you their experience. And thank you for attention.
Thank you very much, Antonello. I'm now welcoming Amelie Detterbeck from the Breath Project. She will let you know about her experience benefiting of the HRP services. Please, Amelie, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much for giving me the floor today and giving me the opportunity to share my experiences with the HRB service with the Breath project. So I'm here on behalf of Euroseeds, who is representing the European seed sector and the Breath project partners. And BRESOF stands for Breeding for Resilient, Efficient and Sustainable Organic Vegetable Production. Next slide, please. And first of all, I would like to give you a short overview, so the key facts of the project. The BRESOF project started in April 2018 and lasts until next year, 2023. The budget is 6 million euros. It's a Horizon 2020 project with includes 22 partners. And the BRESOF project focuses on breeding for tomato, snap bean, and brassicas, especially broccoli, which are the main vegetable crops in Europe. Next slide, please. So what are the primary objectives of the project? So the agri-food sector is focusing a lot of challenges, especially environmental challenges. So with the changing climate that we are already feeling right now, but which will worsen in the future. So there's an increased pressure from heat, floods, droughts, pests and diseases with the changing climate. Also accompanied with that, so and also with the growing world population, there's a needed increase in food and energy production from crops, ranging about 70%. And also with the Green Deal and the farm to fork strategy and the growing organic land, there's also the need to improve the seed production for organic agriculture. So these are the main objectives, chapters, and how is the BRESOF project tackling this? So there are different work packages. One mainly focuses on pre-breeding, so to extend the genetic basis for breeding with advanced genomic and also phenotypic approaches. So there's a lot of work going on, for example, in the use of nitrogen, so nitrogen use efficiency, or also water use efficiency, or also to see if the genetic basis is there for different pests or diseases, so to resilience to the different pests and diseases. And then another work package also focuses on breeding as such, so to enhance the existing varieties, so also to newly develop plant varieties for low input conditions, and also, as I already mentioned, for the high resilience to biotic and abiotic factors. These lines are then also tested under different environmental conditions. And then we are also trying to improve the quality and the quantity of organically produced seeds by agronomic practices, or also seed treatments that are proven for organic cultivation. Next slide, please. So for the Horizon Results Booster, we applied for the Portfolio Dissemination and Exploitation, Module C, to assist projects to improve the existing exploitation strategy. So we already had defined 10 exploitable results and then further worked on 4 key exploitable results. And then in February, we had on the 15th and 16th, we had our exploitation strategy seminar together with Antonello and his colleagues. Next slide, please. So this sums a little bit up what Antonello already described. So we decided on 3 key exploitable results. So we had the whole day, which was really nice because we then could also talk about the different aspects of key exploitable results and the different tools. So we had to prepare quite some documents, for example, the exploitation intention summary table, so where every partner had to describe what their specific intentions were, then the Kerr characterization table, the exploitation roadmap, so what is planned after the end of the project in regard of exploitation, potential use options, and also the risk assessment and priority maps. With that, the HRB experts then prepared a preliminary report as basis for the seminar. And then we had on the 2 days, the introduction to the topic of exploitation by Antonello, and then 1.5 hour discussion for each Kerr on the next day, where we discussed about goals, different processes, the time schedule, then also potential customers of the different Kerrs, specifically also about roles within the partnerships, and then also as financial aspects, how to shape this exploitation strategy. As seminar follow-up, we then needed to update documents based on our discussions, and the HRB experts prepared a final report. Next slide, please. So what's our summary about the service? So the preparation of the seminar was quite time-consuming, but worth it. And why is that? So what was really positive is that the HRB service is well structured and the experts were highly service orientated. So that was really, really nice, which was good for the reserve partners, especially who are not yet so experienced in exploitation. The introduction session was really nice to get information about exploitation, again, also in relation to dissemination and also about the nomenclature. The tools that were provided were very valuable to structure the exploitation process, and especially also to make clear that the roles between the project partners have to be clarified now, so before the end of the project, so that the exploitation process can then start after the end of the project as such. And also, so the HRB final report for us now lays the basis to further develop the exploitation strategy of the project. So for us, it's now what is going on now after the seminar is that we are really working on the files with the Kerr leaders and also interested partners, and to define this exploitation roadmap. So for us as the BRACEOF project, it really helped us to make use of the results and then hopefully also create a bigger impact after the end of the project. Next slide, please. So thank you very much, and I hand over again.
Thank you very much, Amélie. Thank you very much. I'm now giving the floor to another beneficiary project, in this case, the Medina project, here represented by Antti Kantero from NICSU. And Antti, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you for the previous presentations. Really good. I'm here today to talk about the HRB for Medina and what it meant to the Medina project. Yeah, so here we have what is Medina all about. So Medina at a glance, we are a group of partners, 8 partners in total, from all over Europe, as you can see on the map. I will not go into the details that further. Next slide, please. So Medina project is an EU-funded research project working in the areas of cloud security performance and audit evidence management. Its main goal is to create a security framework for achieving a continuous audit-based certification in compliance with the EU-wide cloud security certification scheme. So in the end, Medina will hopefully provide all of these things, for example, guidance on the implementation of EUCS controls, including the measures to be applied and evidences to be collected, therefore reducing the certification process time. Medina will also provide support for automatic compliance checks of the controls in major cloud security certification schemes, reducing the effort, cost, and risk of achieving and maintaining certification. Medina will also ease the effort in collection and evaluation of digital evidences. And also, we will ensure the audit trail of the evidences. That means that no one has tampered with the evidences. Next slide, thank you. So HRB and Medina. There are, as you know, already several services in HRB, and in Medina we chose to use two of them. So one is the exploitation strategy seminar, which we held in December last year, and we chose to use 3 out of our 6 key exploitable results. We actually have 9 key results in our project, but 6 of them are only exploitable. But yeah, I'm not going to go into the details. We had the same procedure as in Brezov and as Antonello already went through. So the basics are already there. And then we also had the BDP, so business plan development last month, and we further developed the same 3 key results as in the exploitation strategy seminar. So that was an easy call because they were already familiar with us. So one tab, please, ahead. Yes. So what we learned in these both of these services, we learned how to use the tools provided. So there are many tools as we have seen today. So now we know how to use them and how to develop the rest of the key results, and the work will go on until the end of the project because it is really time consuming. It takes a lot of time, a lot of different people, a lot of opinions, and so on. So it really takes a lot of time, but it is really worth it. One other thing we learned that the problem is really important. We will go there a bit later, and also what is the difference, at least in our case, key results and the whole solution, because we are basically trying to create a whole solution for in Medina, but it really we really need to focus on the key results first before we can focus on the whole solution. Okay, next slide. Thank you. So what is the problem? That is something that we really need to identify before we can move on. So for every problem there is a solution, and for every solution the problem can be better defined. This is something really important we have learned during this project and during the HRB services. So this is most critical step to get right at the beginning. So when you define the problem well, you're able to identify the alternative solutions better. You're able to identify the customers better. You're able to identify the channels better. Working with key results gives us one advantage, and that is that we have different partners involved all the time. One of the partners in our case is they are actually 2 partners. They are early adopters. So it was really easy to first try to define the problem and then immediately try to validate the problem with the early adopter. That is one really helpful tip. And then avoid the word need, because for example, I need a car to go to work is not stating what problem the car is really solving. So that is one thing you kind of need to avoid. All right. Next slide, please. Thank you. And why do we work with key results and not with the whole solution? So in our case, we have six exploitable results, and they all together form the whole solution. So we were really attempted to go for the whole solution and focus on the whole solution and make a business plan and exploitation plan, but that really doesn't work, because the idea with this service is you build the whole thing from bottom up. So brick by brick, you focus on key results, and then finally, it's like magic. The whole thing will kind of unveil itself in the end. So really focus on key results first, and then the whole thing is much more clear in the end. And as I said before earlier, it really needs a lot of work and a lot of effort to go through every key result and every aspect and every risks and everything, but it really is worth it in the end. One thing that is good, that there is, when you focus on key results, there is also a responsible partner. So exploitation manager, that is basically me. I don't have to do this work by myself. All right. How it helped us in practice was that we were using one component was called a CNL to NL translator, which is basically doesn't mean anything, at least not for me. So when focusing on the key results and talking to all the partners involved, we were able to switch the name or identify the component more clearly, and now the target now the name of the component is target of certification assistant, which makes much more sense in the end. Yeah, so basically what we learned with the services is that identify the problem, work with the key results, and the rest will follow, and it really takes a lot of time, but it is worth it. Next slide, I think, is my last one. So yeah, thank you for this, and now give the floor back to Alessia. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Antti, for sharing your experience with us. And I really loved your slide on the problem. Huh? This is really centered, I would say.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now, I'm your next speaker because I'm going to introduce you the third set of services that HIB can provide, which is Service 3, GoToMarket. You can be surprised, but this is not a standalone service, but under the GoToMarket, we have 6 different support types of services. I'm going to introduce you the overall and then the first 3 support types. Then I'm going to give the floor to the next speaker. So as you can see from the screen, we have 6 support types. So starting from the pitching, then support and guidance for IPR, training and innovation management, business services, examining options for exploitation, and access to non-EU funding. As you can see as well from the slide, mainly GoToMarket services can be requested by single projects, but there are some of them, support type 1, 2, and 3, that can be requested as well by project groups. What does it mean? It means that if you are filling the application to HIB and you are an already created project group, and therefore you would like to request Service 1, Module A and B, the dissemination services. In the same application, you can as well request as a project group support type 1, 2, and 3 of the go-to-market services. Otherwise, if you are an individual single project applying to HIB, you can request all the services. In the case of the Module A and the Module B, a project group will be created with then the support of the experts. Please remember that Service 1, Module C and BPD can be requested only and delivered only to individual projects. Next slide, please. Go-to-market services. I started this session, explaining that each eligible project can request all the services a la carte, as it was introduced by Lara, and this could happen once in project life. This means once connected to the project. What concerns the go-to-market services, there is another limit that you should consider. There is a limit of equivalent working days that experts can devote per each project. This is why we are as well suggesting how to package the different go-to-market services. So there are services that you can request as standalone, and there are services that you can request packaged with others. The request that you can submit will be open or as standalone. I mean, you fill in the application and you just request the go-to-market services, because being them very vertical services, you feel that you are ready for them, or you can request them after having, of course, benefited from a Module C and a BPD. Go-to-market services will allow you to focus on one key exploitable result, and when requesting them, you will be asked to upload the dissemination exploitation plan or advanced business plan, or you need to pass through Service 1 Module C and or Service 2 BPD. Next slide, please. Here you have the suggested packages to let you benefit to full extent to the time that the experts can devote to your project. But of course, you can even have different combinations, which will be then evaluated when the eligibility of the application will be checked. Next slide, please. I'm not going through this like this. This is just to let you know that in the slides you have somehow per each of the go-to-market support types, which is the methodology, the description of the task, the deliverables, and the tentative time that experts will devote to you for the service delivery. Now we are going, one by one, presenting you the different support types. So next slide, please. So I'm introducing you Service 3, so go-to-market support type 1, which is pitching. So the pitching service envisages training and coaching on how to present, of course, your exploitable results to different types of stakeholders, which are usually not your peers in terms of research, other researchers. So it could be potential investors, business partners, and other relevant stakeholders. Usually, as you can imagine, it's a service which is recommended more closer to the end of the project life or for closed projects, because of course, you need to have a very clear idea about your key exploitable results. The pitching service can be requested as a standalone or as part of a package, and could be requested by an individual project or by a project group. Next slide, please. Just to give you an overall of the delivery steps in this case. So as usual, there is, the service team is appointed, get in touch the experts with the beneficiaries. Then there is preparation of the capacity building, a review of some of the documents which have been submitted, and requests to fill and use other tools which will be introduced. There is then a capacity building, which can be organized in half-a-day webinar workshop or even 2 smaller sessions on investor readiness and how to pitch and how to review the elevator pitching form. And then there is a pitching session, simulated online, offline pitching session, 3 minutes of presentation, 5 minutes of Q&A and feedback. And then final report, including recommendation. It's very focused vertical service. Then we have service 3, go-to-market support 2. In this case, it's support and guidance for IPR. So because there are several other initiatives at European Commission level which are targeting IP related topics, and to avoid overlapping with those other initiatives, this is meant to be an introductory type of service. I mean, there will be the explanation about the different modalities and procedures for IP management, assistance with IP management strategy, and then recommendation, redirection towards the use of other initiatives already provided by the Commission. Again, the service can be delivered to individual projects, to project groups, as a standalone service or as part of a service package. Next slide, please, on the service delivery. So expert appointed, then there is the preparation of the training, so introductory call to set, to define with the expert specific topics of interest. And the expert can request, of course, additional documents if the expert feels that are relevant for the service delivery. Then there is the training, half a day, again, webinar workshop, or 2 smaller sections on basics, on IPR and topics agreed during the introductory call, like patenting, IP licensing, freedom to operate, and so on and so forth. Then there is the coaching, 2 hours coaching session with more in-depth description of scope and modalities of the use of the main EC-funded support services. This is for the IP support type service that we can provide under the go-to-market. Next slide, please. We have the support type 3, which is training and innovation management. This is a pure training setup in which you will get insight into the various dimensions of innovation management, how they interrelate, how they can be applied to different situations. Innovation management, again, can be requested by single projects, by project groups, as a standalone or as part of service package. And in terms of service delivery, next slide, please. So it's a full day online training course, or can be split as anything which happens online in more shorter sessions. In this case, the online course is designed to enhance the innovation management, of course, competencies of any interested consortium around the 5 dimensions of innovation, strategy, organization, life cycle, enabling factors and results. There will be all the introduction to the definitions and all the different concepts, and as well how to manage the different or achieve the different KPIs. It is a combination of theory and practices with case studies, so to ensure that it does not stay on theoretical level. And of course, beneficiaries can request specific, can pose specific questions to the experts and try to analyze the specific cases. Next slide, please. If I'm not wrong, this is the right moment to give the floor to Chiara Zocchi from Ciaotech, another partner of our consortium, which will present you more in details the support type 4, 5, and 6. So I'm now giving the floor to Chiara. Thank you.
Thank you, Alessia, and good morning to everybody. Let's start with the second part of the go-to-market services. As Alessia introduced, these services are split into support type 4, 5, and 6. Next slide, please. The type for service is the business service. It is more appropriate for those beneficiaries who have advanced cares key exploitable result developed with a mature use model already available. So these solutions, product, process have an high TRL, and they are right before entering the market. The activities are divided into three main support steps. The first one is related to the preparation of a commercialization plan. The second is related to the assessment of the visibility of the business plan and its improvement till a final version of the business plan. And the last step is related to the creation, supporting the creation of a startup or spin-off. Next slide, please. Different tools will be used for this service, number 4, and I will explain them in the next slide, please. As I said before, the service number 4 is divided into 3 kinds of support. The first one is related to the co-designing a plan for commercial development. And it lasts 1 month. All of them more or less last about from 3 weeks to 1 month. Specifically, the support 4.1 starts with a draft commercialization plan prepared by the beneficiary, extracting, for example, information from their business plan or exploitation plan, may be developed during the business plan development service. At this point, the expert will assess this commercialization plan with respect of the 4P marketing mix model of McCartney. That is a tool that takes into consideration 4 key factors: the promotion, the product, the place, and the price of the solution proposed. And this assessment will support the beneficiary in modeling and analysis its current positioning within the value chain and the market. This service is important because it gives advice and support to the finalization and further development of the commercialization plan. In the service 4.2, that is related to the feasibility assessment of the business plan, we will focus on the examination of the business plan from the consistency and feasibility and profitability points of view. In the first sub-activity, we will check the consistency of the different parts of the business plan to avoid any misalignment of these parts. And then there is also in parallel the examination of the feasibility and profitability of the proposed project, innovation, business, solution, and this will result in the understanding of the viability of the innovation or solution and in relation to the business plan. The consistency will take into account several key factors spanning from the team, the unique value proposition, to reach the cost, revenues, and financial. For carry on this service, we will make use of the business model assessment tool. which is a scoring template that ensure and shows the beneficiary an overview of the strengths and weaknesses of their business plan, and also evidence points of attention for the improvement of the business plan. To examine in more detail the feasibility and profitability, the tool that will be used is the business model assessment tool and the financial case assessment tool. For example, with this service, we can go into more details in analyzing any, for example, dependency on a specific customer, suppliers, employee, or in the analysis of the market and its
Chiara, sorry to interrupt you, but I think that I don't know why you are on mute since few seconds.
Ah, okay, sorry. Do you hear me now?
Yes, yes, yes. Sorry.
Sorry.
Okay, please.
Maybe which is the last point I was mentioning? I was mentioning about feasibility and profitability examination. Do you hear this?
Okay. Last few seconds.
Oh, so sorry. I'm so sorry. Yes, I was. Let's move to the next service. Let's say that the 4.2 ends up with this analysis. The last final coach is related to the support type and verifying examining option for exploitation. Next slide, please. Here, the service characteristics is the same of the previous one. So we are focusing on a care that is very well developed and ready to enter the market. In this case, the activity is the activity support is only one. It is the examining option for exploitation, but it is split into two main parts. The assessment of the exploitation routes, strategies, and in advising and supporting the choice of the best exploitation options for the beneficiary. This kind of service is very useful when the beneficiary has several opportunities for exploitation to evaluate, but is confused and has not a clear overview of which exploitation option or a mix of exploitation options are the best for the solution, the product, the key exploitable results under investigation. The timing of this activity is likely to the others for weeks, but the tools that will be used are more with respect of the other, because it is only one service. Let's say that we will start with the key exploitable result exploitation form. And there, let's say, most common exploitation options are mentioned, and the beneficiaries are asked to specify which kind of routes they are considering. They consider relevant for their care. And the expert, having in front of the expert this kind of form, will provide feedbacks highlighting the pros and cons of each exploitation route with respect matching, in this way, matching the project the beneficiary needs. And in this way, the beneficiary can have a clear, as I said before, clearer overview of what are the best options for the care under evaluation. Please, let's move to the other slide, where you can see that after this service, during these services, we end up with the clear identification of the exploitation routes and the improvement as well of the commercialization plan that recall these exploitation routes from this service and complement the commercialization plan. Next slide, please. The last support service, the number 6, is the access to non-European funding. Next slide, please. This service can be asked by beneficiaries that would like to ask for additional funding for move on with their solution project and result. So for further exploiting where, let's say, the financial coverage is not covered by any other funding sources. So in this way, the support of these services is related to 3 main activities. So the first one is the identification of available funding opportunities that are in place during this in-depth scan. Considering the overall, let's say, this large group of opportunities that can be found, we then select in a funnel approach only those opportunities that are the most appropriate and suit the beneficiaries' objectives and needs. And then with this subset of opportunities, we can understand which are the most appropriate and prioritize these opportunities and match them with the overall solution or product or part of this solution project and product, for example, for the beneficiary. Next slide, please. These are the tools that will be used, but let's move to the next slide so we can link with the types of support. In this case, there are 3 types of supports that are logically subsequent one to another. We first, as I said before, we first start with the project analysis and funding scan. So we will start filling in a funding program template. We will start with the analysis of the funding opportunities that are of interest, in general interest for the beneficiaries. And in parallel, we analyze also the business plan, the exploitation plan, or the commercialization plan. So any useful documents that the beneficiary has in its hands. And then based on this, there is the second step about the in-depth funding scan. So as I said before, we find a large number of potential interesting funding opportunities. At this point, the funding program template is filled in with information about each opportunity and each, let's say, peculiarity of each opportunity. Then in the second type of support, the 6.2, there is the setup of the funding strategy. As I said before, having in our hands all these funding opportunity, we should identify the pros and cons of each opportunity, but in relation to the needs of our beneficiary. And so, as I said, in a funnel approach, from a large number of opportunities, we reduce it with a set of targeted funding opportunities. And these are reported in the report on funding opportunities. During brainstorming and coaching sessions with the beneficiary, we will brainstorm together and advise on the prioritization, so on putting and ranking each funding opportunity in terms of importance or from different point of view, in terms of funding, in terms of timing, in terms of geographic location, and so on. The last service is the funding application coaching. Once we arrive to let's say go-no-go decision where the beneficiary would like to apply for a funding application, a funding opportunity, sorry, there is also a support in the conceptualization of the project, of a project idea that can be structured, described, to be in line to the request of the funding opportunity under consideration. When the beneficiary starts also to prepare a project description template, there is also an assessment from the quality point of view by the expert versus the funding opportunity, and especially the evaluation criteria that that each funding opportunity have. And this is reflected in the project assessment form. In this way, the beneficiary will have the basis for the preparation as a further step of a targeted and well-focused application for funding opportunity. Please, next slide. I think, okay, the presentation stops here. I will leave again the word to Alessia. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Chiara. I'm now giving the floor to Patrizia Zitelli, representing here the Nano Restart project as beneficiary, sharing her experience benefiting from go-to-market services. Please, Patrizia, go.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for organizing the event, for inviting CLGI as coordinator of the Nano Restart project and also as testimonial of the Horizon Results Booster services. Next slide, please, the first one. My name is Patrizia Zitelli and I work for CLGI, which is the Center for Colloid and Surface Science. It is an Italian center for research which gathers several units and laboratories which are located over the country. Next, please. CLGI is involved in several EU-funded projects, and specifically it was the coordinator of the Nano Restart project, which was, I would say, an outstanding and also a challenging project, which involved 26 institutions coming from Europe and also outside Europe. This project was coordinated by Piero Baglioni, full professor of chemistry at the University of Florence. This project lasted 3.5 years until the end of November 2018. Next, please. Nano Restart stands for nanomaterials for the restoration of works of art. The main goal of this project was to develop innovative materials and techniques to address the conservation of modern and contemporary works of art. Contemporary art is indeed a challenge for conservators because of the variety of materials which are often used by contemporary artists. So within the project, several formulations for the conservation and restoration of works of art have been developed, and these formulations have been used in order to clean and restore masterpieces, such as an example, the studio, l'atelier, not the first one, the previous one. Thank you. The studio, l'atelier, which is, as you know, a canvas painted by Pablo Picasso. And you can see here the conservator, and in this picture, you can see the canvas before the restoration treatment and after the restoration treatment. And in the second picture, you can see a section of the canvas, and you can see the clean part of the canvas using our formulations and the dirty ones. And I guess you can see the difference, which is impressive. Next slide, please. So this was just an example, since these formulations have been tested and used on other masterpieces, such as The Alchemy, a canvas painted by Jason Pollock. And again, in the first picture, you can see the canvas before the restoration and after the restoration. And if we go beyond the contemporary art and we go more in the past, you can see the applications of these formulations on wall paintings made by Beata Angelico and Piero della Francesca. And again, in the pictures that you can see in this slide, you can see the wall paintings before the restoration and after the restoration. Next, please. Thank you. So within the project, several formulations have been developed, and we decided to put these formulations on the market with the commercial name of Nano Restore in order to make them available to conservators. Now we are currently producing 20 formulations, which are distributed by us, CGI, and the German company, Defner and Johann. These products are grouped in 4 families, which address several conservation needs. So we have the Nano Restore Plus, the Nano Restore Cleaning Gel, and paper. Next, please. So we soon realized that these formulations have a high business potentiality since they are more affordable than the traditional methods for conservation and restoration, since they ensure a high durability and they are less invasive. Moreover, they ensure a long-term protection and at the same time a minimization of risks for the work of art and for the conservator. Moreover, they ensure more visibility and a lower cost. Next, please. Thank you. But as a Center for Research, we also realized that we had not enough expertise to fully exploit the potentiality of these formulations. So we decided to submit the Horizon Result Boosters applications, since we needed support from experts in order to develop a business plan, to optimize our production process, and also we needed support to identify possible solutions in terms of startup operations. Next, please. Thank you. So we started working with our appointed expert, Chiara Zocchi, and we started this, I will say, process or journey, and we organized several meetings and webinars, and we worked on several documents. As an example, you can see here a Lian canvas focusing on the hydrogels family products. In this, I would say a single page model approach was very important for us in order to understand, to identify the needs, the requests coming from the market, so coming from the end users, the conservators, and in particular, how we can respond to this kind of needs and how we can respond better than our competitors which are in the market. So it really helped us to identify the value of our products. Next, please. So we would recommend these services since at the end of the process, we had several results, both in the long term and in the short term. In the short term, we understood that we had to better work in order to define roles and internal procedures, so to establish an internal protocol, that we had to improve our website and also to create the social media channels in order to spread the knowledge of these formulations. And for the same reason, we are organizing several trainings for conservators. Then we understood that we had to work in order to have a better customer segmentation to minimize the risk. And last but I will say least, which was very important for us, for the first time we had the first quantification of costs and revenues streams, thinking about the self-sustainability of the system. Next, please. Of course, we have other goals which will be achieved in the long term. So we will work on the implementation of our production system in order to achieve a scale-up phase. We will contact potential investors now that we have more, I will say, awareness of our financial data concerning the nano-resource formulations, of course. And the main goal is to create a spin-off fully dedicated to the commercialization of these products. Next, please. So that's all from my side. Here you can see all people which are actually working on the research activities, commercialization, and management related to the nano-restore families. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Patrizia. Thank you very much for sharing your experience with us and for doing it in such a passionate way. So now, I mean, we are perfectly on time according to the schedule, and it's time to move to the questions that you posed on Slido. As far as I could see from colleagues, all of them have been answered in written, but I would suggest to go through the most voted ones to give a general feedback here live. And of course, if you have new ones, we can even answer directly. So I would kindly ask the colleagues from the Commission to share the questions on the screen so I can go through them. Okay, thank you very much. So we have some time. I'm going through them and providing answers, and colleagues are still answering in written in Slido. So are Marie Curie IF eligible? Yes, they are. All the schemes which are funded under FP7, H2020 and Horizon Europe are eligible. Okay, so if your funding scheme has been funded under one of the mentioned research framework program, your project is eligible. Good morning. We look at the HLB application, but it seems we must meet our DOA. Prefer not to. Is it obligatory? Yes, it's a mandatory document to be uploaded, but if you have, problems with partners, you can extract the impact part and the work packages connected to dissemination and exploitation, and have a document including that information and upload that document. So it's not mandatory to upload the whole DOA if you have, concerns, but please bear in mind that whatever is uploaded and shared at the application phase and during the service delivery is covered by NDA signed by everybody on board. This is a European Commission initiative. Thank you. If I have understood correctly, we can apply for all services, but only during the lifetime of the project. Not really. I mean, you can apply during the lifetime of the project, but as well when the project is closed, if it's an eligible project. As you can imagine, FP7 projects, for example, are all closed, but they are eligible. So you can apply for all the services once during the lifetime or when the project is closed. So are the services competitive? Are some applications decline? No, this is not a competitive type of procedure. Each application is checked as standalone. It has to match the eligibility criteria of the application itself. And of course, the cap, I would say, to accept application is the overall budget dedicated by the European Commission to HRB. So of course, applications which are declined is because they do not match eligibility criteria or some additional documents or information are needed. But in this second case, you will be contacted by somebody from the HRB management team to provide the additional information. Does this service require cost? No. The service is 100% free of charge for eligible beneficiaries. The cost of the service is covered directly by the European Commission. So you can consider this as, I would say, an indirect additional funding to your project. And the time that you are devoting to collaborate with experts during the service delivery can be reported within the project clearly. How John visual identity for dissemination consider visual identity of the project? Can produced material be used by the project? The visual identity and the video which are produced as deliverables of the module B. So the last dissemination service that we can deliver, of course, take into account visual identity of the different projects which are involved in the project group. And of course, the produced material can be used jointly then by the project group, but as well by the individual projects which compose the project group. So it's something which is produced for your benefit, and then you can make the use that you feel could be the best to achieve an impact and to disseminate your results clearly. Okay. Okay, hello with the slide. Okay, yes, the slides are already available in the event page. They have been uploaded as PPT, but as well as PDF to avoid any problem, of course, in opening them. Okay, I already answered this one. The booster ask already answered. I mean, in terms of, uploading the DOA, because this is a recurrent question, no security issues. As I said, everybody signed NDA with the Commission. This is, 100% European Commission initiative, and therefore it's like sharing the documents with your PO. It's not up to the PO to allow you to apply for the booster EIC. This is not the booster EIC. This is the Horizon Results Booster. I know that sometimes with the names of the initiatives, there could be some slightly overlapping, but any case, POs will suggest you to request services to the HRB, but and I would suggest you to share with the PO that you would like to request the services. But then the eligibility of the application is checked by the HRB EC team. Of course, the PO will know about the fact that you submitted an application to the HRB, and the PO will receive the final report, which will be produced at the end of each service delivered. The timeline of participating. The first speaker mentioned, I'm the first speaker, June 2022, and 2024. But I read here participating was possible even as, okay, as a project, you can request the services if you are an ongoing or a closed project. Then the initiative, the HRB initiative, is up and running for 4 years. We started in 2020, and this initiative will be ending in 2024. Then the Commission may think, oh, there is a follow-up question there. The Commission for sure will think to other initiatives that support beneficiaries, but the HRB as initiative started in 2020 and will end in 2024. So this means that if you are a closed project or an ongoing project, you have time till 2024 to request HRB services. What will happen next, we still don't know, and I mean, the Commission will take decisions later, you know, as it happens with the work programs, okay? So HRB service active until May 2024, something equivalent. As I said, this is something on the Commission to take a decision and then to decide which type of scheme will follow up. Okay. If the project is very large and develops several services that can be exploited, can one of these services apply? Project-wise might not work. Okay. Usually when a project applies to benefit from HRB services, I mean, the idea is that the work consortium can, of course, attend the service delivery. This, of course, first of all, if the project is ongoing. Then what happens in reality is that usually we have on board partners which have an interest, a specific interest in exploiting specific key exploitable results. Please bear in mind that the Horizon Results Booster initiative is meant to be as a learning experience for the beneficiaries. So this means that we ask you to select 3 or 1 course. It depends, of course, on the type of service, because then you put in practice methodologies and tools with the support of the experts, which act always as a guide for you as facilitators of processes. And then you can transfer the experience that you made, the tools and methodologies with the selected key exploitable results, you can transfer them to the other key exploitable results. As our testimonials told you, they had more than 3 key exploitable results to achieve and then to exploit within their projects, but they were requested to select 3 of them, and then they can transfer what they learned with the 3 of them to the other results. I will start a postdoctoral Maria fellowship. I have applied in October. Does it mean that the service delivery should start by October 22 max? No. It's up to you when you request the HRB services, considering that the scheme, as I was saying, the initiative will be up and running till 2024. So the timing is up to you. And as I was presenting when explaining the application process, when you submit your application, you will be requested to pick a tentative quarter in time in which you would like to have the service delivered. And you have in the application 1 year time, but then once the application is approved, you will get in touch with experts. And if you decide to anticipate or you decide to postpone for any reason, you just need to get in touch with the experts and agree when the service will start and will be delivered. In case of collaborative projects, Horizon Europe, should the request for HRB support be carried out by project coordinator only, or project partners can too? This applies to all the different projects, of course, not this, I mean, one partner project, clearly. This application can be filled and submitted, so can be an applicant, the coordinator, dissemination and exploitation leading partner or task leader, or by any one of the partners. I mean, usually we have coordinators and dissemination and exploitation task leaders, managers, organizations carrying on those type of activities, but can be even one partner. And of course, because each project can request services only once. I mean, you can benefit from one module A, one module B, one module C, and not two module C, two BPDs, and so on and so forth. The idea is that before submitting the application, if you are not the coordinator, if you are not the dissemination and exploitation leading partner, please share with the others if there is another interest within the project. Clearly, when it comes to closed projects, it's easier that the application is made by a partner which have the right to further exploit the results which were achieved. Okay, what I have found anywhere, is this a paid service or not? I mean, the experts are paid by the commission and not by the beneficiary. So I'm not sure that I interpreted correctly the question, but you do not have to pay to benefit from the services. This is, I think, the main point. Eligibility for all projects concluded. Is there a time limit how much old they can be in case of SM instrument funded projects in H2020? There is not time limits, as I said, FP7, H2020, Horizon Europe, and yes, SME instrument funded projects are eligible. Good morning. How large are the groups that are made in Group A? An average dimension is 4 or 5 projects, but of course it could be 2 or it could be more than 4 or 5. We had more. Usually it depends much if the project group is already created, and therefore there is already a cluster or a project group requesting, submitting the module A and the module B, or if the project group is created as a first step of the module A. Usually what happens if you apply as a single project, the appointed experts will propose you other projects with, I mean, you can group to create the project group. In that case, being the applicant means as well that you will be giving green light if involving another project, yes or no. Nano Restart combine G2M with BPD. However, the submission form does not seem to allow it. G2M means grain selected. Can you please clarify? Okay, what Nano Restart did is that, I mean, how it works more in general. It works that if you would like to benefit first from Module C and BPD or BPD, you are allowed in the application to select those two or one of the two. And then, yes, the G2M services are in gray, because the idea is that it would be better for the beneficiaries to finally decide which go-to-market services benefit from once the BPD service is completed. And therefore, in that case, you will submit your application requesting the BPD if this is of your interest. Then once the BPD service is completed, you can submit the application for the go-to-market, being sure, because as I was presenting, having 6 support types under the go-to-market, and even more if you go to the business services, because then you have another drop-down menu of 3 other services. The idea is that first finalize the BPD, and then you submit your application for the go-to-market, having as well agreed with the experts which will be the best ones, unless you think that you would use the BPD for one key exploitable result and you would like to benefit from the go-to-market services for other results. In this case, you have to submit 2 applications in parallel. So you can benefit for all of those, but there are some rules for eligibility. Can you please clarify in a nutshell what type of support can you provide on IPR? Yes, as I was presenting the IPR service under the HRB, it's an introductory type of service. This means that you can have delivered during the service delivery. It's really as well a short service in terms of time and commitment. you agree with the expert which type of, the forms of protection you may be interested in, and the expert will explain you the different pros and cons and how they can be implemented. And then taking into account, your willingness, the expert will introduce you the other support types which are already provided by the Commission, like IPRF desk, IP scan, different type of support that can be provided by the Commission. So yes, I confirm it's more introductory and guiding type of service. Do you prioritize projects with more technology prototype? There are other projects and more. No. Each application is checked as a standalone. And as I presented, we cover all the topics. So no matter which is the field, the vertical topic, if the project has been funded under one of the eligible research framework programs, no prioritization. It's just a matter of budget available, clearly. There is a limit, and up to that limit, we can accept applications. Would you please share the link to get more information on the 3 self-study training packages mentioned by Marcello Bardellini? More information are accessible to the beneficiaries because these packages are meant to be capacity building packages. And therefore, it's not just, we provide some slides and that's it. There are moments in which, you will be tested during the capacity building, in which you will have to, do exercise and to share with the experts. And therefore, it's not just a matter of sharing information. It's a process and it's a capacity building exercise, which involves all the projects involved in the project group. So it's not even standalone, I would say. Are the dissemination training sessions available to all, or just if you are a part of a project group under HRB? If you are part of a project group under HRB, I confirm. I mean, this is not just, general information, but it's, a service delivered to the applicants, approved applications for the HRB. The boosts are 3 multiplied 50k euro at least in ESC, but I understood you can have a booster on one side. Okay. This is there is a bit of misunderstanding with this question. We are not presenting the EIC booster. This is a completely different initiative. Under the Horizon Results Booster, we are not providing any direct funding. We have a go-to-market service which will support you in access non-EU funding, so national, regional, different type of funding as it has been presented, but this is not connecting with the EIC and the funding that you can get under the EIC umbrella initiative. After the Great Booster, okay. After the Great Booster experience, the Dish Cluster project will continue to work in synergy. So please, if you are interested, you can as well join the group. Will you consolidate the identity or contribute to creating it as well? Okay, a consortium should already have the logo or will help with creating it too. Okay, we will help with the visual identity and producing the video for the project group. The project group which is created or already in place to benefit from the module A and the module B of the Horizon Results Booster. So it's not that we are creating the visual identity of individual projects which are requesting the dissemination activities under the support for the dissemination activities. So, I mean, you can have your own logo or you do not have your own logo. In any case, a new visual identity for the benefit of the project group and to disseminate the results of the project group will be created under the module B. And just a general statement, project groups already created project groups already created, which are, requesting HRB services, can access directly Service 1 Module B if they already have somehow a portfolio of joint results. Huh? Okay, can you apply for more than one module with the same, sorry, I lost the question when I was reading, okay. So this cluster, do you plan to put in place a long-term strategy for cooperation with the cluster? The answer was yes. For the moderator, so could you please guide us to join a relevant project group which already requested an HRB service? This is a nice question. Usually what happens is that a single project or a project group requests a module A, so dissemination service, and then it's up to the applicant if accepting or not a new project, joining the project group, or extending the already created project group. And therefore, what could happen, and actually happened, is that we had two individual projects submitting a request for a module A, and then experts understood that they could form a project group, the two applicants together. So one of the two opt out from the request and joined the other project in the project group. But this is a type of exercise and effort that the experts are making, and therefore we cannot provide, to the generic public who are the projects applying, which applications have been approved, and so on and so forth. So if you would like to benefit from the services, submit your application, and then on the European Commission, contractor, experts, management side, we will manage in the best way possible your application. And if we see that you can join another project group already created, we will provide you with this information. For you to know, as I said at the beginning, eligible projects are projects funded under FP7, H2020, and Horizon Europe. Not directly eligible projects can be included in project groups. This is the way they can benefit, and therefore they can express to the management team their interest in being part of a project group, and we will pass the information to the experts, and then the experts can manage. So I hopefully I answered the question. Okay, dish cluster, yes, I've already answered this. Do you plan to put in place long-term strategy? Yes, they do. I was looking at the application for Marie Curie. Do you require the B1 document where you ask for project description of action? Thanks. Yes. B1 document to be uploaded with Marie Curie. Yes, it's called in a different way. For all of you, we need to assess the application and your request and the eligibility. We need to check that what you are requesting is compliant with what you plan to have in your project. Our H2020 consortium is already connected to other 3 H2020 projects, sister projects, very well. Could we still have support in connecting with other project groups? Actually, what you can do is that you can apply your project with a sister project as a project group, and then you can request to the expert to enlarge your project group, and they will support you in this direction. So of course, even if you have already in place a project group. This could be extended to the purposes of course, joint dissemination. Could you suggest how this could work for a historian? Our research isn't usually intended to influence government, to be commercialized, persuade consumers. Very good question. Even if the names of the services clearly refer to more, market, commercial, and different type of uptakes and exploitation, please bear in mind that we support all the different type of projects. And I mean, what is important for us, and this is the starting point, is what you plan to have and to achieve in your project. And therefore then, even in a structured approach in delivering the services, the service delivery is customized to your needs. And therefore, even if you do not plan to have a policy brief or to commercialize something, we can support you. Is the booster for EIC instruments only for any project class? Sorry, this is not a session on the booster for EIC instruments. This is another type of initiative. Therefore, I'm sorry, I cannot answer your question. Are the templates for the exploitation strategy publicly available? They're not publicly available. Submit your request to the HRB and you will get those and much more. Is it mandatory to start from module A? Better. If you believe you have an identity and a project group, could you go straight to model C? Okay, I need to clarify something. You can request the services that you feel you can have a benefit from. So clearly, if you think that you may need support in terms of exploitation activities, you can go straight to module C. If you are advanced, even more advanced, you can request directly BPD or directly the GoToMarket. Of course, in the case of the dissemination service, if you do not have a project group already in place, you are requested to pass through module A, where the project group is created, and then you can have the module B. But please bear in mind that the dissemination service in the exploitation services and GoToMarket have two parallel paths. And therefore, you have to consider A and B, and then C, BPD, and GoToMarket. So yes, you can go straight to module C. As I said, then for module C and BPD are only for individual projects. Do you already know how long your services will be available? Till 2024. And EIC boost, I mean, I'm going on in answering the questions because I can stay longer. Then if you're interested, you can say everything will be recorded. EIC booster grant for EIC 500 award exists a separate, yes. Okay, HRB services are separate from the EIC booster whatever initiatives. Can EIC awardees apply to HRB as well? Yes, you are eligible to apply, but of course you should motivate in your application why you are applying and that you cannot access to similar services within your funding scheme because we do not want to overlap. To use S3 GoToMarket support, do you need to have had S2 BPD in advance? You can request S3 GoToMarket as a standalone services, but you need to have at least a business plan in place, or of course you need to demonstrate that you are already quite advanced. Could you please provide these Q&A results in Slido after the session? In the event page, sorry, I went through and not, okay, but could you please provide these Q&A results in Slido after the session? Yes, you will have there in the event page. Then I completed H2020 Marie Curie project. Could I submit the final report delivered to the PO in REA instead of Part B? No. I mean, what we will provide you under the HRB is additional, and you can use what is the final report that we provide to feed what you have to provide as a deliverable of your project. HRB deliverables are not substituted automatically deliverables, what you have to produce for your project to the Commission. You can use what has been produced to feed what you need then to finalize. Can you provide an example of non-EU funding to support a startup? Startups themselves are not eligible to request HRB services. You should be a FP7, H2020 and Horizon Europe funded project, and therefore for a startup directly not. You can access the access to non-EU funding support as a European Commission project, and then if you plan as well to set a startup, the two things can be combined, and within the service delivery, of course, experts can look for a non-EU funding which is suitable for you. But please bear in mind that startups themselves cannot apply to HRB. They can be included in the service delivery if they are, of course, tangible result partners of a project or a tangible result of a European Commission project. Can different partners within the same project apply for different services? Okay, one partner apply for service one, another partner for, yes. I mean, to the extent in which within the umbrella of the project, services are requested only once, then there could be different partners applying for the different services. As far as we know, could not benefit, okay, if it is something we could gain, it would be included. As I said, you can benefit being included in a project group. You cannot be, RFCS project cannot be directly the applicant, but you can be included in project groups. Because in the case of a project group, only the applicant should be from the eligible funding. Therefore, I have two suggestions for you. You can group with an eligible project, which can be the applicant, and you can be the part of the project group, or you can drop us a more specific email explaining a bit more about your project and your willingness. We can pass the information to the experts, which creates the project groups, and can propose to other applicants to have you on board. Oh, okay, we are involved with other 3 projects from H2020, but wonder if we, could be involved with more. Yes, you can, absolutely. You can submit the application as a standalone and then have the 3 other projects together with you, or you can submit the application already as a project group and then request to have more projects on board. Is the capacity building course open to national contact points? To the extent to which national contact points are part of eligible projects? Yes, of course. Are new European about also small projects eligible? If I'm not wrong, this is an initiative under an eligible funding, but please, I'm not an expert of all the different schemes. As far as I know, yes, but I think that we are going, if not already, to reply in written to this specific question. Probably a silly question. I do not see Horizon Europe in the scroll down menu from the application form. Is the new framework included? Yes, it is. I don't know why, but if you scroll the drop down menu, you're not going to find Horizon Europe, but just Horizon, because this is how it is picked by the system. But yes, of course, Horizon Europe is fully eligible for HRB services. Is the phase 1 SME instrument eligible? Yes. Can we also apply towards the end of a 24-month project or after it is finished to disseminate? Yes, absolutely, you can towards the end, or even when it's closed, or even, you know, in between the two situations, because as I said, ongoing and closed projects are eligible. Who are the experts for the service and or their expertise assessed? An expert list has been provided when we signed the framework contract with the European Commission. It is time to time updated. It's a list of more than 250 experts covering all the different domains. Their expertise in terms of delivering the services is checked by the European Commission HRB team before having the service team appointed. Is there a limit on the number of times a project can request access to services? Research undertaken under our project is really diverse. As I said, each project is eligible to request services only once. Therefore, you need to agree internally for which key exploitable results you would like to request the services and have the relevant partners on board. Then if there are very specific cases, you can drop us an email, and I mean, we cannot go beyond one service per type, of course, per project, but there could be some ways to combine services which can, you know, solve this type of situations. The timing of the go-to-market support for business means how long the service will last. Now in the slides you have, on the bottom of the slides, you have the time devoted by the experts per each service delivery, and then the average overall timing which could last each go-to-market service, which usually, depending on the service, could go from 30 days to 3, 4, 6 months, depending on the service. Are projects funded by EIT, in particular EIT, okay, initiative eligible for the services? Thanks. In general, okay. In general terms, as far as I know, EIT projects, I mean the projects which refer to the knowledge intensive communities and then funded by the KICs are eligible. But please, if you drop us an email, we will check in a more specific way, because as I said, I'm not, you know, 100% covering all the schemes which are included under FP7, H2020 and Horizon Europe. I need to ask back to the Commission. Are these services available once a Horizon Europe project is running? During the implementation of the project, can we get this service? You can get the service. I mean, of course, you need to have a project up and running. My suggestion usually is to request the services when at least you had the first consortium meeting. So you manage as well to share, which is, you know, the path forward, and you can agree among the consortium which are the services and when it would be best to have the services delivered. Regarding the key exploitable results, how do you reach them? It results from a needs assessment. How do you carry out to make this needs assessment? Key exploitable results are usually identified by the partnership, so the consortium directly among the results. And as Antonello explained in his presentation, are results which are worth to be exploited further. And therefore, you have to make an internal assessment, and then how to pick the 3 that you are requested to pick under the HRB services. This is again internal project, internal key scene, I would say. You can pick the most, the closest to the market or the community. You can pick the most relevant for you. You can pick the ones which have more interested partners. I mean, there are several ways, and this can be done as well with the support of the appointed experts. So you do not have to have identified key exploitable results necessarily when applying for HRB. You can discuss this with the appointed experts and then take a decision. Key exploitable results are generally identified by the beneficiary. Yes, I understand, but how they make they make it in terms of methodology. As I was saying, this is something that you can discuss with the experts once the experts have been appointed to deliver the services to your project. There are different ways, and I mean, it's more a qualitative type of effort. Clearly, it's not just related to TRL. I can say that it's not only a matter of TRL. Who is the beneficiary of this service? The project consortium, the project coordinator. Ideally, the project consortium. Then, if there are only some partners interested, could be a group of partners, could be the coordinator, could be one partner. Ideally, the project consortium. This is why I always suggest, before applying, to discuss internally in the consortium of course, the willingness to apply to HRB services. A project under Horizon Europe actually evaluated the reserve list can use the Horizon booster to fund other more suitable calls. I'm sorry, no. I mean, we can work only with awarded, I would say, finally awarded projects, and therefore you need to wait to have your project awarded to benefit. Okay, this last question, do you plan to extend your services after 2024? I'm sorry, this is a question that I cannot answer in my role of contractor of the Commission. I can tell you that, I mean, as contractor, I will provide those, but this won't be for sure free of charge if I'm delivering this with my own company. As far as I know, the Commission is planning to have a similar scheme up and running after 2024. But as far as I know, once again, something more will be known after 2023. And this will be clarified by the Commission in the relevant work programs. So we managed to answer all the questions. You know where to find us. You have all the documents, the questions, all the materials, and as well the recording in the event page. I really thank you for being on board with us even longer than it was planned, to be active in posting questions. You have as well the functional mailbox, and please get in touch with us, submit your application. We are, looking forward to supporting all your projects and to helping you to achieve your impact. Have a nice lunch.